both of them are very experienced pilots. So yeah, it could be a good match for them.
Yeah. Hopefully, we will see that Zelascelar will be able to keep up because kingbeandip is considered to be, a very top tier player, and Zelascelar doesn't play as much, nor has he seen as much like IL success. But if we can see him take a couple games at the very least, that'd be nice.
Yeah, I don't think he has done much racing in the recent past, but
Yeah.
I think he's always very motivated for tournaments and multiplayer. So let's see what's going to happen. King Beandip definitely one of the tournament favorites. So Zelascelar is gonna have his work cut out for him.
For sure. I mean, anybody would have their work cut out when they go against kingbeandip. He's just aggressive and fast. And
Yeah.
he hasn't made as many mistakes in recent times as he used to, so it's just ever scarier.
I'm curious how he's gonna develop over the tournament. He was always the kind of player who would go very, very aggressive. You could almost call it a very reckless playstyle at times, but it has worked out for him. For the most part, at least. So, yeah, let's see what's gonna happen. They're gonna start off on Spice Mine 1, which is one of the more easier tracks, although it is still pretty long. So let's see what's gonna happen. Not sure what's going on the Zelascelar's end. Let's hope his stream is going to continue soon. I think kingbeandip is off here already. I think this is the live race.
I think that should.
Zelascelar was still on Acrylic Classic Woods, which has me slightly worried here.
I'm a little concerned too that somehow, even though we very clearly stated there was Spice Mine in the chat history, he misunderstood somehow his own pick. I don't know. Anyway, kingbeandip using the fast terrain of the splits pretty well there. Coming through, avoids the what? I guess the mine part is what it seems like. It can be in a precarious position sometimes. Looks like Zelascelar's stream is just gonna be frozen here for a while. Hopefully he will catch up soon, and maybe is hopefully recording so we don't have to DNF him on the first race.
Yeah, let's see what's gonna happen. Yes, for now we can focus on kingbeandip. It's a low 115
low
start,
115.
pretty solid.
Yeah, and his heat's pretty low. Not like the lowest ever, but definitely workable for a first lap, especially in a tournament setting. Did you notice I think he's did the start delay, right?
I didn't
to manipulate those. I think he did. Well, anyway, if he did, at the beginning, you might have noticed that kingbeandip did a little delay of starting. That was because of a thing called dozer manipulation. And it's where the game actually loads the movement of both the minecart and other objects and like the dozer throughout the track before you actually start racing. So on a good pace, you can actually run into the dozer because it'll be right in your way. And rather than deal with that, you can just wait a few seconds and it'll move it out of the way. So hopefully he did that and he can keep up a good pace and show off that it's spaced out a little bit there. So, coming through the hairpins, very difficult place in the track, especially in Mach 3.
Yeah, I think Zelascelar actually, I think his internet cut out or something because he was off on Discord. So we're gonna see what happens if he completed the race. Hopefully he recorded. Hopefully he was on SMR. If not, we're gonna have to see what we're gonna do.
Yeah. Alright, those are coming up. Yep, he did wait for it. Either that or he was in a slow run, but I really don't think it was that slow so far. I didn't catch the time for that too. Zelascelar just said that his internet died and that he had to reconnect. So I hope that means he was able to do the race still? 342 for King Bean Dip.
Yeah, very good time there.
time.
Yeah, so that's the tournament PB for Zelascelar. And a low 342 for King Bean Dip. Let me see where that puts him.
It's not tourney record. I know that that's a 341 something, but it should be pretty high up there.
It is the 2021 tournament record, though, so it's the best time that has been achieved so far in this year's tournament. So yeah, very
That
solid
is
time.
true.
So now both players are gonna be permanently banning 2 tracks. After that, the loser of the previous track, in this case Zelascelar, will be banning a pot. And following that, the winner of the previous track, King Bean Dip, will be banning a track temporarily for only the next round. And after that, Zelascelar will be picking the next track.
Alright, King Bean Dip bans Bunta Training Course. And Zelascelar bans Grabvine.
And on King Bean Dip's screen, at the moment, you can also see our very nice tracking sheet to give you some information about the current status of this match. So it looks like the perma bans here were Grabvine Gateway by Zelascelar, then King Bean Dip banned Bunta Training, and also banned Mongasa Speedway. Now we only need the second perm from Zelascelar.
Zaga, okay.
Yeah, Zaga Challenge being the second permanent ban from Zelascelar. So the perma bans are Bunta Training Course and MGS from King Bean Dip, and Grabvine Gateway and Zaga Challenge from Zelascelar. Now Zelascelar is going to ban a pot. Let's see what that is going to be.
It's going to be interesting to see what kind of strategy we see here from Zelascelar. I suspect he's going to try to make King Bean Dip uncomfortable. Yep, bans Ben. Makes sense. Maybe we'll see a forced Aldar. Temp ban of Executioner coming out from King Bean Dip. Let's see if there's any forces, whether it be no upgrades, skips, or additional pod bans, and what track he ends up choosing here.
Well, it's going to be Defro's Revenge, and that is not a surprise to me.
I think Executioner is a good ban.
Yeah. But yes, Defro's Revenge picked by Zelascelar, and that's not a surprise.
Yeah, Death Row's Revenge, definitely.
It's one of his favorite tracks, and I have a suspicion here that Zelascelar might be using Alvabido, because that is his favorite pod, and it's actually the third best pod, and the best pod was banned, so Alvabido would be his second best choice right here.
Just, no forces. So in theory, he should go Bulls, but he probably won't.
It looks like he actually.
Oh, actually is.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I know he likes to hold over King Bean Dip said that in the one tournament that he beat King Bean's Bulls with Aldar.
So I'm curious how this plays out. This is very much a track where if you make one mistake, if you get a crash, even a player that is somewhat behind your skill level can definitely take this track off you because it's pretty short. It is rather simple. So if you crash, you lose about, let's say, 5 to 6 seconds. So you really can't afford a crash here if the other player stays clean.
For sure. Now, there is the risky roof strategies, but I suspect we won't be seeing that from Bulls, even if there is a crash.
It wouldn't be a very wise choice to try this in tournament. Not at all. No. So players got their countdown, and they're off. Zelascelar is live, and so is King Bean Dip. Let's see what happens. Zelascelar already losing a boost at the start here, but holding it through the first.
That's unfortunate. Doesn't die on the possible death there, so that's fine.
So the edge that you saw Zelascelar race against while holding his boost is very notorious for just blowing you up when you touch it. There's a lot of crashes happening there, but luckily for Zelascelar that didn't happen here. Let me get the sync in actually.
Let's see.
Alright, the 45-2.
Zelascelar coming up close to the last of part of his first lap.
And it's 43-7 for
That's a
kingbeandip.
I think that's a pretty decent first lap with Bulls.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
significantly better. Makes sense because that loss at the beginning. Oh, that might be the difference maker. It might not, but easily could be if Zelascelar can stay relatively clean for the rest of this.
Yeah, I think if Zelascelar manages to stay clean, yeah, then well, this is his match, his track, let's say.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh no!
Oh no! Misses
too
the end of
early.
the second lap.
Don't do it on lap 2. This is what you're supposed to do on lap 3. No. And well,
It's gotta hurt.
I
gotta wonder if it was nerves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another crash.
Oh, another crash. Oh,
Nah,
that
that's
sucks
not
because that gets right into your head. It gets right into your head when you do something like that.
It does for sure. And he must have felt pretty good until now, because he played
and he must have
cleanly
been thinking about, like, man, I'm getting to the end. Oh, I got to finish, and it's not the end.
It's just falling apart now for him. That's very unfortunate. So what he did there is what we call the out of bounds finish, and that's what you see Kingbean do right now. And yeah, if you do it on lap 3, it's safe.
214 with the death.
Yeah, that's very good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, if you do it on lap 3, it saves about 3/10. But if you do it on lap 2, then well, you're losing multiple seconds. Ah, that's unfortunate. And
yeah, all right. So
yeah, there was very much a snowball effect here. There's one crash, and then, well, it, like you said, it gets to you. It gets to your mental game. Zelascelar banning Bullseye again. kingbeandip temporarily banning Fireman Rally. And Zelascelar choosing to take us to a Howler Gorge. And kingbeandip recently got world record on this track, at least for a few days. So he's very much used to this track. So given that they're probably both going to use Ben, I would say this is definitely a pretty good track for kingbeandip. Like I said, he should be very used to this track. He recently grinded this. So let's see what's going to happen.
I would be surprised if he doesn't get a very good time here, given everything.
It's the same deal, though. If he takes a crash and Zelascelar keeps it clean, it's very much possible for Zelascelar to take this track off of me. So if someone asks you, what is Howler Gorge? What do I have to expect from this track? What would you say?
What would you expect? I mean, I would look out for, first off, when you're going through it, there's a couple key spots in the track. You have a big hairpin relatively early on the track, following the beginning initial boosting area, right? So you go over, go through the cave area, and then you have a big hairpin right before the big jump. That can be pretty tricky to do safely. Easy to die, easy to lose a bunch of speed on if done improperly. And then after that, you don't see much issue until you get to the tent, which if you look off at the beginning where Zelascelar is, on the left side, there's a tent shortcut that opens up for lap 2 and 3. And that's easy to die on, but essential to get a good time.
Yeah, it's very notorious spot.
For sure. Alright, they already are pretty much synced, which is pretty lucky.
Yeah, that's very nice, for sure. That looks like a very good sync right here. So we might actually see some route divergence here, which we don't, unfortunately. On this track, there's actually 3 different starting routes you can take, and they're all pretty close to each other in terms of how fast they are. But both of them electing to go for the bridge route and the off-road path at the start. Now here you can see the hairpin section Dom just told us about, and coming up to the ascent to the top of the mountain into a really huge jump right here. And then there's the ice field leading up to the not quite final section of the track, but there's a very long straight here, which transitions into another straight after this.
Yeah, with the ice.
Yeah. And at the very start
Right.
of the next lap, there will be the 10 shortcut that Dom described. And it is a very narrow gap that you have to fit through. And it is very, very easy to crash in it. Let's see Kingbeandip here. Oh, and there we go. There's the crash. Zelascelar keeps it
And
clean.
Zelascelar takes it very safe,
Mhm.
tilting for it. I've never even considered doing that.
He takes the lead.
That was very
It
smart.
is, it's not a big lead because
It's a very small lead, but it is a lead.
yeah.
I
But like I said-
suspect that King Bean can pretty quickly pass in here though, because it really and
Another
it
bonk
bonks really hard there.
costs maybe another 2 seconds here.
Last
So
still
lead
holding
back for
on for
Velasquez.
now.
it's still
They
not a
both
very huge
pulled it
lead.
over the jump. Yeah, it's certainly not very large. Zelascelar only really about a second and a half or so ahead right now.
Kingbeandip
at
must be
most.
feeling the heat right now. Though.
Yeah, you gotta feel rough when you just got a world record here and then you crash on the first 10.
For sure.
I mean, it's easy to do for everybody, but
And now they're approaching lap 3. They
taking
gotta
the
have
safe
to go into the tent again. Let's see Zelascelar. That's a clean tent. Same for Kingbeandip.
Alright.
This is very
But
close.
King Bean is using the fast terrain a little bit more properly here, so he might catch up a little bit more.
Yeah, he's on a lot of higher
Might
heat. But
pass him because he's using his heat better.
yeah, they're
No, not quite.
pretty much tight here.
They're really
pretty
close
much
now, though.
tight.
Both making it through here alright.
So you would expect Kingbeandip to take this if he doesn't make another major mistake, just because he's probably a little bit
He
quicker
should.
on the very end.
Yeah, in theory he should take it. Yeah,
He knows how to
Zelascelar
top
taking
off his
that middle
moves.
route.
So you can see just from taking a bit of better lines, the Kingbeandip taking the lead again. If he takes this clean, he probably has this. And let's see. That looks like good heat from KBD here. Yeah, the last guy. Oh, that's an unfortunate error there at the very end.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have taken it either way. But there was a close race. And you could see that Kingbeandip cannot take anything for granted here. That could have very well been a loss.
That wasn't a free win for him. Although that's a crazy time to have a death with.
He died into the tent though, which means the fast terrain makes up a bit of the speed loss. So I would estimate he lost between 3.5 to 4 seconds to the crash. Probably more like 4 seconds. But yeah, it's still a very, very solid time considering he had a crash. Now, what would you expect from Zelascelar going forward here after what we've seen? What do you think his strategy will be? What do you think his strategy should be?
What I think it should be is I think he should try to force Kingbeandip onto one of the harder tracks with perhaps one of the non-main pods. Because Zelascelar, he knows a lot of the secondary pods pretty decently because of the whole multiplayer thing that he's done, I think, a lot more of in recent times. And I know King Bean was expecting more of the easier tracks because that's what he's used to. All right, so we have a bend ban. And then we also had an executioner ban again. Yep, that makes sense. Once again, following the exact same time as the first one. Yeah, and then Zelascelar went ahead and chose Doug Derby, which, like I said, harder track. And without Ben, you got to use Bowls most of the time, or Mars.
But technically, Bowls is the second best. But I can tell you, it is quite the experience. It's extremely difficult to make Bowls work.
Oh, Zelascelar is going with his favorite pod here. I think is Mahonic, which it's not surprising he's going Mahonic.
His favorite is Aldabido, but I think Mahonic is
like on Doug Derby. Yeah,
that's true.
On Doug Derby, he goes to this. Yeah.
And I'm curious what Kingbeandip will do. I would expect Mars.
I would expect it as well. Mars is certainly faster than Mahonic. Perhaps a bit harder to use. Perhaps
they're pretty close.
mainly. but
I mean,
they're pretty similar style, especially if you
yeah,
do Mars on low enough FPS. Zelascelar dying in his practice, so maybe that's foretelling of what will happen. I hope not, but
just getting it out of the way.
yeah, that's what you gotta do sometimes, I guess.
I do think, though, that in terms of average speed, in terms of potential, these two pods are very, very close to each other. In the end, you're probably correct. If you play it perfectly, Mars probably has the slight edge here, but anything could happen, really.
Yeah, I think reasonably they can both get 136, 137, right? Somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
All
I
right.
think Mars tops out at a high 135, I would say.
Okay.
And Mahonic can come pretty close to that. The one upside of Mahonic versus Mars here is that Mahonic has a slightly narrower hitbox. So it is much easier for Mars to hit any of the outside walls or any edges and crash on that. So that's a slight advantage for Mahonic. Not a really big one, though. So let's see what's going to happen here. This is it's a very interesting track because, first of all, it's the second shortest track in the game if you discount skips. And on top of that, this track is actually based on a real life circuit called Laguna Seca. So very interesting for sure. And I think they're off here. So I'm going to sync them up.
Alright, Zelascelar going through the corkscrew now. Pretty easy when you have 100 turn, right?
Yeah. And even then, I wouldn't even call it easy, but yeah.
Yeah. Comparatively easy, I guess. Is a better way of putting it. I think kingbeandip and Zelascelar are practically tied, but kingbeandip's slightly further ahead, but higher heat.
It's really hard to compare heat here because they have such different heat rates.
They really do. I think that Zelascelar is behind pretty definitively right now, but anything can happen on a track like Doug Derby when you're the size of Mars. You can just clip a corner and not even understand how you were there.
Yeah, exactly. This track is just very, very difficult and anything could happen, really. Let's see kingbeandip's second lap here. The 32.2, very solid, and the 32.4 for Zelascelar. I would estimate Zelascelar is almost 2 seconds behind at this point. So it all comes down to lap 3 here.
Let's see if kingbeandip can stay clean. If he does, then he's probably going to edge him out. A little tap, but nothing bad.
Looking pretty good, good heat. Zelascelar is close, but Mars has the edge here on the last side.
Like a second and a half or so behind, I would say.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, just barely behind. Ah, that was a good race, though.
Yeah, very, very close. So that's the fourth win for kingbeandip. Match point.
Yeah, that was actually a tournament PB for Kingbean. I don't know if that's overall or just with Mars specifically, but that's interesting.
It's overall, yeah. His previous
Curious.
best on DD was 140.7, so yeah. Very, very good time here.
A Mars ban coming out. Interesting.
The Mars ban. I have a slight suspicion of what's going to happen here.
I would suspect maybe something like Gauntlet skips, maybe. Because Mars is a very safe pick there. I could be wrong, but...
Let's see. So kingbeandip banning SL. I think Zelascelar is going to run it back on Doug Derby. And maybe use Force to ban Ben as well.
That's actually... That would be a smart strategy to do. No way he chooses that. What? Oh, no. What?
Well,
why would he do that? I don't quite understand that one. Yeah, Fire Mountain Rally of all things. Not what I expected to see.
But like I said, Zelascelar went in here pretty rusty. I don't think he's done his homework for this match.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
He was very much expected to lose this one, though. So I'm sure he will surprise us still in this tournament going forward. He still has a shot, obviously, but it's gonna be really hard from here.
Yeah, I would have to reverse 5-0 Kingbean.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
Tough. Not many people ever can take 5 straight against Kingbean.
Hasn't happened that often before. So
Have we
we
ever
would
seen a reverse 5-0?
a reverse 5-0.
Yeah, have we
I don't
ever
think
seen
so.
that in tournament? Yeah, I didn't think we had, but oh, looks like we're getting some more pod bans.
Yeah, it seems like Zelascelar is using all of his force points here to ban additional points.
He should ban Bullseye. That's number one. He should ban Bullseye. Otherwise, it's kind of pointless.
Yeah, it only really makes sense to if he has.
Ben,
Oh, there we go.
Bulls, and Mahonic. Okay.
We're probably gonna see a Neva key mirror here.
Yeah, that's what I would expect. It'd be very surprising to see anything else. Kind of smart to ban Mars in that group as well initially if he had planned that at all. Just because
Yeah.
King Bean was in fact practicing Mars on this track earlier.
Now, Fireman Rally is the longest track in the game, time-wise. Takes over 5 minutes to complete, and with Neva Key, it takes even longer than that. So we're going to be in here for a while still. This is a very exhausting track to run, and on top of that, it is actually quite difficult.
Now, I do think either could take this. I would say King Bean's still heavy favorite just because he's ridiculously good at the Barunda tracks in general.
FMR is in fact one of his best tracks.
Yeah, I know he had world record temporarily there, but I think he's what, third or fourth best right now? I can't remember
He's in third, yeah.
Okay.
I think he's only like
Second and a half or so off, I think?
yeah, almost two, I think. But yeah, it is very close considering the length of the track. And for anyone that joined a bit later, I'm gonna post a bracket link in chat again so you can get an overview of the current standings of the tournament. We're still in the group stage at the moment. I'm about halfway through here. And yeah, this is King Beandip versus Zelascelar. Match point for King Beandip here, so it's all on the line for Zelascelar. And looks like they're off here. Let me just sync them up real quick. So far,
I was about to say, a crash. Yeah, that was a very aggressive speed to go into that turn.
I was about to say, so far both of them are keeping it clean, and then King Beandip proves me wrong. Now,
still relatively close though.
Yeah, and that is exactly the problem right here. King Beandip is so quick here that he can probably make up multiple crashes.
Yeah, and you can see Zelascelar is actually taking the wide lines rather than going over the fake off-road looking area. And choosing to go over the lava with a pod that has almost zero cooling compared to Bullseye.
Although it has to be said that his racing here is still on a pretty high level.
Yeah, and he's still keeping up, really. They're right next to each other.
There he takes a crash. It's very easy to take a crash on this track. But yeah. Like I said, Zelascelar's racing is still on a very high level. Most pilots would struggle to keep up with him, probably. But King Beandip is just one of the tournament favorites here. So, yeah, very much is expected for him to edge it out here. But let's see what's going to happen. Like I said, FMR, one of the longest track in the game. So there's a lot of room for error.
Yeah, you could definitely see more than one crash pretty easily here per lap, even if you're not being careful.
It's a 151 with a crash. That is he's absolutely flying here.
Yeah, that probably would have been like a 148 without that crash, because where he crashed wasn't actually that bad of a spot to crash.
Yeah, true.
But still, that's really fast.
And this time he takes it well.
Yeah. I think Zelascelar is like 8 or 9 seconds behind already, even though they both only have one crash. That's just how hard this track is and how easy it is to lose time.
Yeah. King Beandip is just so quick here, and yeah, like mentioned before, he can probably make up multiple crashes here just by playing so incredibly risky and being so fast.
Yeah, it would certainly be a hard pace to keep up with, especially if you're not a specialist on the track,
Yeah.
which not many people are. In fact, even Grabvine has more people who have higher times on it than Fire Mountain. Just saying something, given that most players avoid Grabvine.
Yeah, I mean, King Beandip is just honoring the track's name. He's just on fire. I mean, look at him go.
Yeah, very clean shortcut. Zelascelar also making it through just fine. But this is going to be an unbelievable time if he can stay clean on the second lap.
There is some high-level racing he's showing right here.
147, still pretty good. And that's because Neva has really bad cooling, so his heat when it was high at the end of the first lap just cost him a little bit there.
Gotta give Zelascelar some credit though. It's a 1:49 second lap here for him, so that's also really strong.
Only a 1.3 seconds slower than Kingbean's second lap, which is saying a lot given that Zelascelar has not been playing very much recently. Another crash! And it's not going to matter much, but it does give Zelascelar a little bit of a chance if Kingbean crashes more.
Yeah, and it also ruins Kingbean's death per track stat. So that's unfortunate for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it doesn't seem to matter. He would have to crash 2 more times for Zelascelar to catch up here.
Yeah, and even then, the ending would still probably be cleaner for Kingbean, and it might not even matter with 2 crashes. In fact, I don't think it would.
I'm still of the strong opinion here that Zelascelar is still putting in a really strong performance here, considering he's been out for so long. And just doing this out of nowhere on FMR is certainly not easy. So
no, hardly anybody's really prepared for this.
You can definitely see his potential here.
Yeah, and he's a quick learner. Like, he is taking that line. He took that turn where he crashed on in the first lap a lot safer this time, so that way he wouldn't do it again.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Almost takes a crash there. And Kingbean already coming up to the end here with 2 crashes on a sub 5:30 pace.
Very, very solid.
Wow.
So GG.
That's a really good time. Wow.
GG to King Beandip. That's a 5-0. And it's a win for him. Quite well played here, I have to say.
Yeah, and Kingbean actually took I think it was 3 2021 tourney records this time.
Yeah. I think, at least FMR and SMR.
Yeah, it looks like it was SMR, FMR, and actually Howler.
Yeah, we're gonna have them in for interview here. Hello Zelascelar, hello King Beandip. GG's on the race. Congrats on the win, KBD.
Thank you.
Yeah, how was it? How did you feel?
That was a lot of fun.
That's always nice.
Going up a more difficult opponent.
Hello Zelascelar.
Hey Zelascelar.
There we go. Hey.
GG's on the race. There was some nice performances by you, considering you were out for so long and came in pretty rusty. How did the match feel for you? How was the racing?
Well, with some frustration at least, but it was really fun to actually to get competitive again, because I haven't been there for a long time. So, but yeah, some major. Also, I wasn't prepared with the setup in the beginning. I didn't know that it would be that bad.
Yeah,
but
technology can be like that.
Yeah, I mean, in that when I pressed taunt and I froze up on the last lap, and I went, of course.
Oh man!
Oh, on Howler Gorge, right?
Yeah, it's
Ouch!
That race was actually really close. But I can you can rest assured, because even if you hadn't made the mistake, you probably still would have lost by about a second. But it was a very close race.
Oh, nice. nice.
So
That's the most
I
important.
would definitely say you performed really well considering you had such a long hiatus and basically just recently came back. So I have a lot of hope that you can catch up to your performance levels that you had during the last year. That was quite some nice stuff.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I went in knowing that I'm gonna beat kingbeandip. So, yeah. All
I
nice
did
times.
prepare pretty aggressively for you, actually.
You did?
Yeah. Yeah, I spent some time yesterday and today preparing just for this match. Yep.
Oh,
Neva feels so weird though. He's really similar to Bullseye on paper, but his traction is just so high that it's difficult to get used to him. Also, I died twice in that race, and I discovered that deaths with Neva cost almost nothing because his acceleration is so strong.
Yeah, it depends on the exact spot, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's not as
Lap
costly.
1 crash really costs you really only the time of respawn.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, when I died there on lap 1, you may have noticed I was slamming on the brakes for quite some distance.
That's the
Yeah.
downside of the user acceleration.
The way acceleration and brakes interact with each other, I forgot to brake early.
But
Yeah.
hey, I want to know a quickie. Doug Derby.
Yeah.
What would you say were my biggest mistakes? Because, sure, pod differences, but the difference
Yeah.
would be that.
Yeah, Mars and Mohonic are pretty similar on Doug Derby overall. I would say that from my perspective, it just looked like there was just wider turns than you could have had maybe, and your lap 3 I couldn't tell, but I think it was a bit low at the end of the line. I think. I mean,
You know
it's
what
just
I would have? You know what I would have done in your shoes, Zelascelar, on Dark Derby?
Yeah.
I would have probably used one of my forces to ban Mars as well, and then you would force kingbeandip on one of the other pods, and you would kind of guarantee that you're on an even footing, basically.
Yeah.
So apart from that, I think it was a good pick. But I think you should have used more forces to ban more pods earlier on some of the tracks.
Yeah.
I think earlier forces would have been beneficial, especially maybe death rows. You could have gotten rid of bowls and just forced it to be Eldar, but it's fine either way. Also, speaking of death rows, what happened on lap 2 at the end there? Did you forget you were on lap 2?
Yeah, that was me being.
Did you out of bounds finish on lap 2?
He out of bounds
Yeah.
finished lap 2.
Oh no.
And he was ahead at that point because he took the crash.
Oh no.
And then he took another crash right after that because it's like, that's gotta hurt. Yeah, we were kind of wondering, like, did you just forget it, or did he let go of it, like the nose up button on accident? Because King Bean, he did crash on death throws. I don't remember the exact spot.
Yeah,
right now.
I died on lap 2 dropping down from the upper level. And I died there, I'm like, dang it, I was planning on not dropping down for that reason.
Yeah, it might not be worth to drop down with bulls.
Forgot there.
Did you boost trying to go down? Like, because you could have also just let go.
No,
of
I just drove down without boost.
Okay then.
It
Thanks. Stephanus.
likes to kill me there for some reason.
It's really
No
easy
matter
to do.
what pod I use and no matter what I do, sometimes I just die.
Well, that was I thought that was an entertaining match. Good on both of you. Good times overall. A lot of tournament PBs and 2021 tournament records in there. So
Very nice.
yeah, it was good to see.
Oh, you're welcome. It was a really fun match.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you
was.
guys for racing. That was fun.
GG, that was a good race.
Yeah, it was. Thanks for the warm up.
And thank you for watching. May the force be with you.